So when you take on a client, because I never hired a dating coach, and I'm trying to think of Hitch. That's all I can think about is Hitch. That's the only reference point I have. Hitch.
Perfect.
I think with Hitch, unless I'm mistaken, was he helping Will Smith? Was he helping the other guy court a certain girl, or was it just in general helping improve his game?
Um, I think he was helping him catch a certain girl. And the lessons were sort of like how to improve your game overall, right? But I think they were plotting. It's been a long time since I've seen that movie, but I think they specifically were like plotting how to get the girl.
Yeah, so that's more theatrical. That's something that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the style I teach is not about like catching someone.
Yeah, because catching seems like deceptive, right? Like
Yeah.
you're tricking them.
Yeah, and there is a certain amount of gamifying you can do to courtship, right? Because there are just certain behaviors that are attractive and unattractive. So like yes, there are ways that you can adjust how you behave in dating that kind of up your chances of being more attractive to that person. Um, but definitely some of the techniques people are teaching are like hurtful. For one, I don't teach any of that. Like I don't teach any like hurtful manipulation. Like I'm not interested in those games. I don't condone that. Um, like the way that I teach dating is for people to get into healthy relationship. Like to be able to be in a long-term relationship with someone that they love, admire, respect. so so like all of the technique I teach is based on usually starting with the self, like how to admire and respect yourself more, and then applying that with other people, which usually leads to great outcomes. Like when you come from that place of dating, that usually leads to just a way healthier, more stable connection. Um, but it can be hard to do.
Yes.
Hard to do at the beginning.
So you don't ever start with a client. Have you ever done like a target? Like as far as the client comes in, because you say you only at the moment, or I think you only specialize in women, right? You don't. So does a girl ever come in or woman come in rather and say there's a guy at work that I like? There's a certain guy, a target, if you would. Is that something you also do as well?
Not necessarily to be like, okay, we're gonna get you this man, but I'll definitely help with like communication, right? Because that's a big one. So it's sort of like how to actually communicate in a way that will attract this person rather than repel, or you know, like what do you need to say in order to move this relationship where you want it to go? So, for example, like, do you know if he's available? It's like
Yeah,
we need
it's a
to
big one.
think about like this kind of stuff first of all, and and do that kind of like like uh, it is manipulation at some level, but it's also just like vetting, right? It's like we need to make sure he's available. We need to like test his interest in getting to know you. We need to like there are all these kind of like things to find out. Um and things you can do to kind of adjust yourself, right? Like you can work on your sort of presence, right? So like at work, do you really like show up and wash your hair, right? Like do you show up as your best self and bring a little bit of flirtation. I teach a lot of flirtation skills too, because that's a place that many people are blocked these days. And if you can bring a little flirtation, it's just so much easier to build attraction with people. So kind of like basic appearance stuff and then energy stuff in terms of like how do you show up, like to work in the case of having a crush on a coworker. Um and and then like what do you talk about with them, right? Like what kinds of topics do you bring up, or how much fun do you have, right? Like can you flirt with them already, or that kind of thing. Um so it can be very tailored, like it can be super tailored to the person's situation, but it's not we're not like setting up situations like again.
Yeah.
That whole thing where I was like planning my schedule around men and like trying to end up at
Exactly.
not
Exactly.
doing that.
That's one thing that I noticed right now. You definitely practice you preach, and you definitely are obviously genuine to what you learn. Because hearing you explain it now, the point when you set up target culture, if you will, like trying to catch a certain guy, it's kind of detrimental because you're probably not going to get that person, that girl or that
Yeah.
guy, and then it's like wasted time because you're basically changing yourself, like you said you were doing before, molding yourself for a prospect, a
Yeah.
prospect. So it's better to work on yourself and doing these universal improvements, like you said, flirtation, that's universal. Communication, that's universal. Self improvement, self love, that's all universal. So that if and when the right person comes, these things can work and it gets
Yeah.
all right. So that's
Yeah.
something I noticed because if you talk about target culture, if you will, if it doesn't work, then you go to the next person. You keep changing yourself. You don't even know who you are anymore.
Yeah,
You keep
exactly.
changing yourself depending on who you're trying to try.
Yeah. And eventually you're gonna be like, what am I doing?
Yeah, and then you can only as we say where I'm from, fake the funk. You can only fake the funk for so long. Eventually you're
So
gonna
true.
be for so long, and they're gonna be like, I didn't meet you like this. Like say for example, you're trying to date I had a friend that was trying to date a gym junkie, and he put on he put all the stuff, he bought all the gear, the work, everything, and they went on a couple dates, but then once they were together for a couple months, she ended up realizing he's a lazy guy. He doesn't work out. He's not into it. It was all superficial stuff, and then like obviously that didn't last long because
Right.
she was a gym rat, and
Yeah.
pretend gym rat. So it's like and it's countless examples because as guys I think girls get a bad rap as far as being chatty patty or all these things or the Nancys, right? Gossip queens. Guys gossip just as much, if not more, than girls. As far as so like the countless examples I have with friends. Of one guy started with a Barnes and Noble because he wanted to seem like he was a book guy, but he wasn't a book guy, so that didn't last.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's these things that people do it. I don't know if you know How I Met Your Mother.
Yes.
Barney Stinson character, right?
Yeah.
The playbook. He has so many. Yeah. And I mean, obviously, that's it's not fiction because there are people that way. A vast majority of people act that way, but it is kind of obviously dramatized. It's comedy and it's TV, but
Yeah.
that is something we see with dating culture, if you will.
Yeah. For sure. I mean, that's like the pickup artist thing, right?
Oh yes, I was going to say that. I didn't want to cut you off, but pickup artists on YouTube. Yeah, go.
Yeah. No, that's all I was gonna say too, was like that's what that is. It's like, okay, like
Yeah,
yeah.
the YouTube universe, as far as that corner with the pickup artists, it's fun to watch, but it is kind of sad that people give their money to that and just make someone. It's insane.